What is going on, guys? This is Anthony here, and welcome back to a brand new Discord.js tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how to set up a mute command so you can mute or temporarily mute users on your Discord server to prevent them from spamming. It's really easy. The first thing you're going to want to make sure you do is you want to make sure you have your role set up. You're going to go ahead and create a role called muted. You're going to want to make sure that it doesn't have these text permissions, so that it doesn't have send messages, send TTS, manage messages, all this stuff. So make sure all this is unchecked. Okay, once you've done that, you're going to want to make sure you go to your text channel permissions and your voice channel permissions. You're going to click on edit category. You're going to want to make sure that you override permissions for the muted role. And basically so let me actually just delete this and I'll show you guys. You're going to go ahead and click plus. You're going to go ahead and click on muted. And you're going to disable all the permissions that you don't want the user to have. So we obviously want them to be able to read and see voice channels, but we just don't want them to be able to enter messages to it. So I'm going to disable all of this stuff over here. Okay, and I'm going to disable connect, and we should be good to go. So once I've done that, alright, you're going to want to make sure that your text channels are also synced, right? So make sure it's synced. So now that it's synced, you can see wait a minute. What did I just do? Oh, whoops. Apologize. Let me actually just disable all this. Okay, and let's save that. Let's go ahead and wait, did I do this correctly? Okay, perfect. And then now if I go to general permissions, muted should sync. Yep. Same thing with test. Let's make sure that's synced as well. It's synced, perfect. And same thing with voice channels. Same exact thing. Okay. So to actually see this, if I go over here and if I give this user a role, right, I can't join the voice channel and I can't enter any messages in any channel at all. Okay. So I mean, optionally you can set it so that it's only going to mute them from sending messages on specific channels, and they can still send messages on, like, you know, let's say a spam channel or off topic, whatever. It's up to you how you want to implement it, but I'm just going to show you a general idea on how to go about doing this. So, okay, so what we're going to do, well, as the moderator or admin, you're going to enter a command called mute, right? And then you're going to pass in the user's user ID, right? Every user on Discord has a unique user ID, right? And you can get it by just right-clicking their name and just clicking copy ID, and if you paste it, you'll see that that's going to be this long number which is their ID. Okay, really simple. Let me actually just move this to here. Let me get rid of this. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is let's write the code, right? Because this doesn't do anything so far, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and say else if check command, and all I'm doing is I'm just using my command handler function to check if the command is mute, and if it is, we're going to do something. Okay, now since we're taking in two separate, I guess you can call them arguments, right, and it's delimited by a space, I'm going to go ahead and tokenize it. So I'm going to do message dot content dot two lowercase. Okay, actually I don't really need the two lowercase, and I'm gonna say, because we're dealing with numbers, so it's okay, and I'm gonna say what do I want to do, split. Okay, so I'm basically just splitting up my arguments into two separate elements, and it's going to be stored inside an array. So if I want to get the client ID, it's going to be in arg subscript 1. Okay, so to show you that, so let's go ahead and just, whoops, give me one sec, do this. Notice how it's inside an array right now, right? And the client ID is in subscript 1. Okay, it's the second element, but in the first subscript, or subscript 1. Okay, anyways, now what I'm going to do is I want to get the role, like the actual role object. So mute role, Okay, so we need the role object because the role object has the role ID. Now you can actually manually get the role ID if you just write some code and just get it from there. But I haven't actually done that yet. But the easiest way to do it is just by getting the role, like the actual role object, and referencing the ID. Okay, so we're gonna do var mute role. I'm gonna do message dot guild. Right, so the message object has a property called guild, and then we're gonna do roles, and I'm gonna do find. Okay, so let me actually show you guys what I'm doing. So the message object, right, has a property called guild. The guild object or guild class has a property called roles, and the roles is basically a collection of roles, right? And the collection has a function called find, which allows you to find it allows you to basically search through the entire collection and search if let's say if their username is equal to Bob, or if their ID is equal to this. There's many different implementations, but it basically takes in a function and it basically checks if that function is true or not. Okay, so let's go ahead and pass in this function over here. We're gonna take in a role, and we're gonna say if role dot name is equal to muted, because that was the name of our role, right? That was the name of our role over here. That's why we're passing in muted. So now we have the role object. Really simple. Now we're gonna want to get the user, the user object, the member object. So we'll say var member to mute is equal to message. Again, the dot guild property. Now the guild class itself has a property called members. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to find the correct member to mute. So I'm going to say member, and again this is just an arrow function. We take in a member parameter, right? Or I'm sorry, it takes in the guild number object, and we're just going to check if the member's ID is equal to arg sub 1, because that is where our ID is stored in right now. Okay, so we're going to say if, I'm just going to check if true, and it's going to print out all of the data. So let's go ahead and, so like I said, again, if you want to get the ID, just right click their name and just click on copy ID. Okay, really simple. So let's check the command line. Yep, everything seems good. Yep, everything seems good. So, yep, username discriminator. Yep, perfect. The reason why we're seeing a bunch of null properties is because my other account doesn't have an avatar. It doesn't have, and we also haven't sent any messages to, but this is correct. Okay. Okay, perfect. So now we have the actual member. We have the actual member object, right? So what I want to do now is, let me actually just grab the documentation real quick. What I want to do is I want to check if the member actually is muted or not, right? So to do that, we just check if they have the role muted, right? So I'm going to say if member to mute has, okay, so let's see, this is a member object. Actually, it's not dot has, it's actually dot roles dot has. Okay, so we're basically referencing all the roles that the member might have, and we're just going to check if they have the mute role. We're just going to check if they have the muted role, and we pass in the mute role ID. Okay, and we get that by saying mute role dot ID. And I'm going to go over the code once again in case you guys are confused. So user is muted, and if not, it's already muted. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. sorry, it's dot roles dot has. I apologize. All right, let's do that again. User is already muted. Oh wait, why did user is not muted. I don't know why I did that. No wonder why it's printing the wrong error messages. Sometimes the errors that you get are the error messages that you write yourselves. So user is not muted. Okay, that's correct. Okay, perfect. Okay, so what this means is we check if the user has the muted role, and if they do, we're not going to do anything. Okay, if they don't, we're going to want to give them the role. So all we're going to do is we're going to say member to mute add role mute role.id. Okay, it's that simple. And then we're just going to print out a message. User was successfully muted. Let me check the time, 11 minutes, so I'm going to have to end the video soon, so let me just finish up. So notice how now the user just got the role added to it. User was successfully muted, and I cannot send any messages at all. Right, if I go ahead and if I do this again, right, it's going to say user is muted. If I remove the role, and if I do it again, it's going to say muted for the role. Now let's say if I try to copy my ID, it's not going to work. Well, it's going to give me the role, but I'll still be able to actually send messages because I'm an admin, so that's okay. So yeah. Anyways, so the basic gist of this code is we're basically getting the role object, right? Because we want to reference the role ID. We're then getting the member object because we want to reference the member's roles and we want to check if they have the role or not, right? And then after that, we use the member object to add the role by specifying the role ID. Okay, it's really straightforward. And in the next video, I'm going to show you guys how to do this, how to set an interval so that after a certain amount of time, they will be unmuted. So thank you guys for watching, and if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave your comments or leave a like. Your feedback is very important, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.